Hello and welcome to Big Dash Knows. Big Dash knows what? New York Giants football. Let's go. One day closer to the Snoopy Bowl. Jets versus Giants. Battle for MetLife. Win knocked out of my cells earlier today when I found out that Robert Saleh said that the starters weren't going to play. Win knocked right out of my cells. I am pushing, for the New York Giants to play their starters for at least a quarter. But if you're not playing against the Jets starters, what's the point? I mean, outside of maybe some rhythm, building some confidence and stuff like that, do you take the chance against the second and third stringers or third and fourth stringers of the Jets against the first team? And then if you look good, you still lose because it's against, their backups. If you look bad against their backups, it's probably even worse. So you're probably going to see that the New York Giants are not going to play the majority of their starters on Saturday. And again, that sucks. The Jets game should always be the second preseason game now in this 3-game preseason, league. If it's going to be the dress rehearsal, we'd love for it to be against the Jets. But let's talk about the injuries. Again, this is a practice update, so let's talk about that. We got a little bit of good news. Jon Runyan back at practice, still not participating, working off to the side, but he was actually in uniform today. So that's a move forward. Brian Daboll's adamant that Runyan would be ready for week 1. We'll see what happens with that. Deontay Johnson out of the walking boot. Fantastic for him, especially with cuts. Cuts right around the corner. Cut down is on Tuesday. You're looking at Micah McFadden injured with the groin, most likely not going to be available in the first couple of weeks of the season. Is he a candidate for IR? Possibly so. But when you're so weak or thin, I should say, at middle linebacker, when you look at your second linebacker and also your first linebacker coming off the bench, both hurt. Not a good sign. Very thin when it comes to that. Other people that are out today in practice: Drew Lock, Cordell Flott, Trey Herndon, Javarius Owens, Mike Adams, Marcus McKeithen, Lawrence Cager, Gunnar Olszewski, and even with Mike Adams. Mike Adams is the fifth middle linebacker probably that we have. And he's also out with an injury. It's just not good when it comes to the middle linebacker room. And that room was pretty deep all throughout training camp. And then we get down to cut downs. And now we're looking very, very weak at the middle linebacker spot. But it's not all doom and gloom, because you have that hybrid guy, Isaiah Simmons, that can step in and be the middle linebacker next to Bobby Okereke. Might change the way that you call some of your defense if that's the case. But he is the option at middle linebacker, and a pretty good option at that. You lose some of the other versatility that he has as far as where else he can play. But when you need a guy to step up at middle linebacker next to Bobby Okereke, and you say Isaiah Simmons can do that, I'm okay with that as well. So Brian Daboll was at the podium today, and pretty much said that he would decide what he was going to do as far as starters getting snaps after practice today. So practice is over. I haven't seen an update yet. If you have seen the update before you've seen this video, go ahead and put it in the comment section down below. Let me know what Brian Daboll officially decides. But as of right now, when I'm recording this, Brian Daboll has not decided whether or not starters are going to get snaps on Saturday. We know the Jets are not going to play their starters. Robert Saleh said that early this morning. It is what it is when it comes to that, and I think that actually hurts the chances for the New York Giants to actually play their starters. You're not going to play your starters against the third and fourth string guys for the Jets. You're not going to risk injury against the third and fourth string guys on the Jets, so you probably won't see the starters, and that sucks. It absolutely sucks. Brian Daboll said he was comfortable with where Jones is at. That's another indication saying that you probably won't see Jones. He's already saying he's comfortable with what he's seen so far. Again, for me personally, I'm not at these practices. I know that some beat writers are at the practices. They're giving us their opinion on how the guy looks and this, that, and the third. There were some fans in the building for the Jets-Giants practice yesterday. Some conflicting reports about what actually happened at that practice. When I saw the storylines yesterday, it looked like the New York Giants were getting their butts kicked. At least the defense. The defense was getting their butts kicked. Offense was holding its own. I did see that, Bobby Skinner, we're talking Giants, posted a video of every snap, I believe, from the starters from Jets Giants practice, and it was a little bit more fair or even maybe not even, a little bit more closer than what was first, reported. When it comes to Drew Lock is still the emergency quarterback. If he has to be used, he can only be used in a limited role. He cannot throw certain routes, is what people are saying. If your backup quarterback can't throw all the routes, he shouldn't be your backup quarterback. At least he shouldn't be. He should be third. And I think with everything going on with Drew Lock now, I think you absolutely keep 3 quarterbacks on the roster right now. I'm giving away some secrets. I will be dropping who makes the 53. I'm doing the offensive and defensive videos. Those will be out, pretty soon. But yeah, Drew Lock being the emergency quarterback, you're probably going to see all Tommy DeVito on Saturday. And you know what? That works for Tommy DeVito. It gives him the extra reps. He gets to build his confidence up too if he can have some success against this Jets team. Let's see what else happened here. Oh, okay. And Dave also said they were not adding a quarterback. Obviously so. It's too late to even try to add a quarterback. Like, you won't be able to run the plays, nothing like that. Okay, so Dable also said he was pleased with his top 4 wide receivers. I think this has to do with people saying that Slayton was getting a lot more reps than Hyatt. In recent practices, because what makes me think that, because he spoke directly about Hyatt, and he said Hyatt is getting lined up correctly, going to the right spots, and playing fast. So that's pretty generic. You would hope your wide receivers, especially guys that you expect to be heavy in rotation, to do all those things. But again, I didn't see the initial question that caused him to answer these questions. But it's pretty self-explanatory. Dable, and another thing that Dable said himself that he wants to attack every area of the field, all areas of the field. He said, and I quote, need to get vertical while also sustaining drives. So what that tells me is that he's saying that he wants to push the ball. Obviously, it's Brian Dable. He wants to push the ball. He needs to go vertical, right? But you also have to be safe and secure with the ball, and I think that addresses some of the interceptions that we saw with Daniel Jones this past weekend. But you also have to sustain drive. So he wants to push the ball, but he also understands that guys have to play smart. But at the end of the day, the first thing he said is he wants to push the ball. He wants to get vertical, and that's the type of offense he wants to run. So he's already telling you what type of offense he wants to run. If we don't see it, if we don't see him pushing the ball downfield, it's not because he doesn't want to do it. It's because either they can't do it, or because of the quarterback, or they can't do it because of the offensive line not being able to keep a clean pocket. So keep your eyes open for that, and that's when once the season starts. He also said that that Evan Neal could play versus the Jets, and I'm like, duh, of course he should. Of course he should. He needs to get some live action. Absolutely, Evan Neal needs to get some snaps against the Jets. It just makes all the sense in the world. And we need to see how he looks as well, because if he looks pretty good, that means that's even more, more of like a finger to point at Bobby Johnson being just an awful offensive line coach. And you know what? And this is a side note. I saw some PFF scores for Matt Pert at the Denver Broncos. And Matt Pert is looking like a player for the Denver Broncos. Can you believe that? Matt Pert is looking like a solid tackle for the Denver Broncos. Could you imagine that? Even more of an indictment on freaking Bobby Johnson. I digress. All right, so let's talk about some of these practice notes. There weren't a lot of practice notes, actually. But I did see Dan Duggan say that Nick McLeod was running with the ones at CB2, even after the awful practice he had yesterday. He still was there at CB2. You saw Trey Hawkins as well at CB2. You saw a little bit of Darnay Holmes at CB2. Still, that thing has to play itself out. The New York Giants do need to add a cornerback, whether it be signing a guy that's a free agent, picking up a guy off of waivers after the 53-man cut down, or a situation where you're trading for a guy, trading for a player. And we've seen a lot of scenarios about possible trades and players going to different places and stuff like that. I'm not going to get into that because I don't know exactly if it's true or not. Sounds like a rumor. Sounds like some people fishing for ideas or fishing to see how people will react to it. But again, no real news on that. And then also another practice note. Newman and Pinnock, 2 starting safeties in practice today. Also, Dane Belton got some snaps as well, rotating in, with those guys, with the first team at safety. And that's just the practice notes that I got. Not a lot to talk about. I'll get into what I need to see from this game against the Jets. Depending on what happens, again, I'm leaning towards the starters not going to play, which I vote against that. But it's probably going to be that we're running Tommy DeVito out there, second string, third string guys, fourth string guys out there. What I need to see is some of these guys that are on the bubble make some plays, man. Some guys that I believe they're on the bubble, like Alex Johnson, cornerback / safety that we got UDFA from UCLA. He needs to make some plays this week to be, possibly added to the 53 or possibly, added to the practice squad if he makes it. Elijah Chapman, to me, he's definitely most likely going to play. I need him to continue to do what he's been doing, be dominant, play with his leverage, play with power, and affect both the running game and also the passing game, which is a skill set that he does have. Who else, man? Darian Beavers. I'm still not giving up on that. People want me to give up on Darian Beavers. I will not give up on Darian Beavers till he's no longer a Giant. Just too much potential there. With the linebacker room being as thin as it is right now, that's a guy that you should absolutely keep. But we'll see what happens when it comes to that. It's a numbers game, but people are injured, and it depends on how fast people can recover and get back. And again, we're talking next week's cut down. The following week after that, we start football. But yeah, man, let me know in the comment section down below which guys are you looking forward to seeing in this last preseason game of 2024. Some of these guys will never get an opportunity again in football. That part sucks. A lot of people's dreams are going to be shattered come Tuesday. That also sucks. But there's also going to be some dreams made for some of these guys that didn't think they were going to make a team, got the phone call and got the shot to try out. And a lot of guys will make the 53, and that's just around the NFL. So shout out to all the people whose lives are in the balance right now, and pretty much depending on what a GM and coaching staff thinks of them. And best of luck to those guys out there. But that's going to be the video. I want to thank everybody for vibing with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And from one Giants fan to another, this is Big Dash Knows, Big Blue Nation. Let's go.